I'm an adult of my spirit. Are you? I'm an adult of my mind. Are you? I'm an adult of my thought. Are you? See, I am what I think about, and so are you. See, I'm an adult of my love, and I love you, and I want to thank you for being here. Welcome to ALPOUGH. Today is really cool. Today is about all your thoughts in a cage. As you can see, for all of us, hasn't the last year and a half been about being put in a cage, which is literally our own home? All of us. So now, what does that mean? Okay, so physically we've been in a cage. Some of us still are. Some of us are still waiting on how this whole pandemic is going to play out. But one of the things is, while our bodies are in a cage, our mind is in a cage, our own prison cell. Are you locked in the prison cell of your mind? Who has the key? Who has the key to the door? Who's going to let us out? This is symbolic, but yet true. So who has the key? Well, either you or someone else. But now, if you had that key, would you be in this cage? You see, I used to be in high school. And high school was its own world, being in high school. Then what happened? Well, you graduated. And what you thought was life in high school is no longer. Your whole life changes when you get out of high school. I know what it was for me. 1 week after I graduated from high school, my father told me, boy, you got to make a plan. You got to make a plan. It's time for you to move on. Time for you to grow up and make a plan. One of the best things he's ever said to me was that. But at the time, it blew my mind. Because here I'm thinking my dad pushing me out. He said, I got too many mouths to feed. It's time for you to make a plan. Best thing he ever said to me. Best thing my father ever said to me. And he actually said to me later that he regretted it. I'm like, no, Daddy. Well, because I moved to California, 2,000 miles away. I made a plan, but he didn't realize I already had the plan. I just started to implement it as soon as possible. So after graduating from high school, within 1 week, it was time to be what? An adult. Now, just because you turn 18 doesn't mean you're an adult. It just means, baby, all your actions apply now. You can't do nothing stupid. You can't go out and breaking the law because you get away with it before you're 18. But after you're 18, every stupid mistake you make, you pay for it. So you break the law, you are going to jail. Not like it was when they tell you they call your parents and bring you home. Then they deal with you. So I used to live in Missouri. I used to even live in California. Now I live in Arizona. things change. People change. Now, for the most part, every last one of us, our spiritual indoctrination comes from the moment we're born. And I would say that 99% of the people who started off with what their parents' religion was are probably still that into a form of one or the other. Okay. So now, while I'm in high school, of course, I went to high school. I went to a Catholic school. I went to a Catholic grade school. So this comes down to I used to be a Catholic. And then even as I became more of an adult, I became a Christian, and I used to be a Christian. Well, surely those are good religions, and I did get a lot out of it going to a Catholic high school, meeting some of the best people I've ever met, and still know a lot of my Christian friends and a lot of my Catholic friends. But now, why did I leave? Why did I leave? As a Catholic, I was an altar boy, got altar boy of the week. My brother actually got altar boy of the year. Why did I leave? The hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. And hypocrisy means, you see someone who's preaching it, teaching it, but not living it. I think that is the signal of what it is in this world today. Hypocrisy. I used to be a Democrat. Why? Well, my parents were Democrat, and if you're someone of color, usually you're automatically a Democrat. So yeah. Then I've really realized also the hypocrisy that's in that party. I call them the blue pills. You don't see me mentioning these names. I just call them the blue pills. So what did I do? Well, I went to the other side. I was living in Santa Monica. Ronald Reagan lived over in Pacific Palisades. He was running for president, 1980. So I used to be a Democrat, and I became a Republican. Why did I leave? Hypocrisy. You can see it right now. The hypocrisy. Do you see what's going on right now? They're fighting amongst themselves. They're not doing anything for us except putting us in a cage. And putting this and turning this into a cage. So what is their motto? What's all these people's motto? Do as I say, not as I do. That's exactly what's going on. Do as I say, not as I do. And yet we're called to be good boys and girls and do what we're told. Yet they don't do what they say. They do something completely different. 1% rules the world. Welcome to those who are in. 1% rule the world. And 1% make the rules. Now, they make the rules. And see, we don't relate to them. Why don't we relate to them? Well, they got all the money. They got the private planes. They got everything. They're flying in space now. Space. They're in low orbit, flying high enough so you get a couple of minutes where you're floating in the air. How boring. That's already been done. It's no different than the astronauts going up there and learning about anti-gravity. They've got a plane that's been doing that for a long time. Look it up. Like, can't you look them up? Well, because you probably don't have the time. You never looked at it. You never got the chance to study because you're busy doing everything else. Everything else. And you don't have the time to understand both sides. So we don't relate to them. And guess what else? They don't relate to us. The former owner of Amazon, he's never called me. Say, hey, man, come on over. Let's have a cup of coffee together. No. He's only around people who are rich like him. They're all one small clique. And they don't relate to us at all. Yet they know what's best for us. They know what's best for us. No, they don't. They know what's best for them. You see, I know what's best for me. How long did it take? Well, it took as long as it took. Because I've been on a spiritual journey. And I know that most of you do not have the time that I was able to put in and still am as I devote myself to understanding everything around me. One of the first things said from Mother, know your surroundings. Know your surroundings. Well, that's why I come out and I tell you I'm an adult of my spirit. You need to know. Well, is the guy a kid of a spirit? What if I told you, I'm a dummy spirit? I have dummy thoughts. I have a dummy mind. I have a dummy love. Would you even consider listening to me? Now, I've had over 40,000 views and I'm almost at 700 subscribers since I started on April the 1st. Obviously, some people think there is some benefit to listening. And I'm here for the long run. So I know what's best for me. How did I learn that? By becoming neutral, entering into a state of neutrality. Learning what my surroundings is by understanding both sides. Both the red pills, the blue pills, all have shown the ability to just be on the same team, arguing amongst themselves. And meanwhile, we're the ping pong in the middle. Same with all the religions. They even argue amongst themselves. The Protestants, non-denominational, Methodist, Pentecostal. Who's better? The state of neutrality, where does that put you? When you're in neutrality. I know what that means is you're feeling like you get on there. First, you think you're on shaky ground. I never did because I knew finally it was time to go. Time to go. Neutrality questions everything. Everything. Excuse me. Everything. So why isn't a woman in the Trinity? Why isn't a woman in the Trinity? There's God the Father, and his name is Jehovah. This is in the religious thing. There's God the Son, and his name is supposed to be Jesus. Or whatever religion that you're on. Okay? Well, what about the Holy Spirit? No name? Doesn't everybody have a name? Everybody has a name. You have a title, like the president. Then you can say Mr. President, but we also know it's President Biden. He has a name. Everyone has a name that comes with their title. The Holy Spirit is no different. Why not? Why doesn't the Holy Spirit have a name? Which he does. And her name is Sophia. And she's been taken out. She's been disguised, made into someone else. But there are over 100 scriptures. Now, I put in the comments of the link to Zen Garcia, who is someone who has taken upon himself to prove through all the scriptures. He has literally about 8 hours of, about 5 or 6 hours of scriptures and details. So if you don't believe me, which again, I'm not asking you to believe me, I'm asking you to be in neutrality and take the time to understand that without a woman, without the feminine, what do you have? A male? Just men? Where would we be without the women? We wouldn't be here. Now, I know they're saying there's an ability now in man to have a baby. Yeah, well, we know what that's about with the transgender thing. Okay? But up until this year, it's always been accepted that a woman has the babies. Okay. So are we going to give them some credit? Oh, no, that's right. We're going to give them the blame. Let's get one thing, mother straight. You are an adult. You're an adult of your actions. The minute you start blaming someone else for your pity party or your mistakes, you're not walking correctly. You know how some people are out there that just want to put blame on everybody? They just want to blame them. Anything, they don't want to take no responsibility for their actions or why they did something. It's coming down to the time where we're all at the crossroads. Now, as you know, if any of you've studied the Bible, you know, Jesus said, you can deny him. You can deny the Father. But if you deny the Holy Spirit, which I believe he said, SOFIA, you will not enter into the pearly gates, baby. And you're going to be locked in your own personal cage. So it's time to start being neutral. And, you know, you could go full circle this and come all the way back to where you believe, and that is fine with me, because I am not here to change anybody. I'm here to let everyone know that the Holy Spirit is a woman, and her name is SOFIA. And I love her. And she acknowledges everything. But we don't acknowledge her. Not anymore. Not anymore. You know, people are all over the world now watching me. I have more people out of the country who watch, who are tuning in on me, on my views. Everyone looks at us kind of as the leaders because we have the military might. But I'm saying to you, get into neutrality so that you can understand both sides. You must be your own personal advocate. I cannot do the work for you. I can begin it. If you go check out that on my comments, click on that guy, Zen Garcia. He makes some really good points. And I love you, whether or not you don't believe me or not, whether you disagree to agree to disagree, that's fine. And if you think that you can prove me wrong, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. More than happy. Because I'm solid. I'm not no longer in neutrality. I'm an adult of my mind. I'm an adult of my spirit. I'm an adult of my thought. I'm an adult of my love, and I love you. And I'll see you tomorrow.